Consumer reports, proving that if you rig and misuse safety systems, they don't work as intended. I can't believe what I'm about to share with you. This CNBC and Consumer Reports video is apparently supposed to fairly compare vehicle driver assist systems. Great, you might think. The world is about to see just how good Tesla's FSD actually is compared to the competition. Of course, it's the ultimate vehicle driving assist system. It can drive autonomously from a parking space through cities and highways and repark itself hundreds of miles away, while still being supervised by a human, of course. But no, flawed from the very start, Consumer Reports decide to only use Tesla's Autopilot feature, smart cruise control if you like, and compare that to other automakers' cars. Yeah, that does seem to stink a bit, doesn't it? But before we get into this, a quick reminder that Consumer Reports have already taught consumers exactly how to bypass Tesla's safety systems and literally trick the car into thinking there was someone in the driver's seat and paying attention. This is absolutely not in the best interest of consumers. Teaching idiots how to cheat the system with weights on the steering wheel, keeping the seatbelt attached, slowing down autopilot so you can glide out of your seat and into another one. It's dangerous, irresponsible, and unbelievably moronic to both attempt this and teach others how to do the same. How else might Consumer Reports trick the system?
You mean? Yes, we put the brick on the accelerator.
Genius! Autopilot for everyone. Let's get into it.
Tesla has hyped up its autopilot and full self-driving systems quite a bit.
It's not nearly as good as what you might think it is.
Tesla's driver assistance system ranked 8th on a list by Consumer Reports.
Doesn't this set the stage just brilliantly by blinding its audience with passive-aggressive Tesla negativity? Tesla's hyped up its autopilot systems. It's not nearly as good as you might think. And 8th place in Consumer Reports' own list of top-ranked active driving assistance features. Don't let the fact that Teslas now drive themselves out of the factory and park themselves 1.2 miles away, or look at the real data of the billions of miles driven using Tesla's full self-driving software. I'll try not to interrupt every stupid remark, but it's going to be hard.
Mercedes, Ford, and GM were all rated higher.
The big difference that you'll notice is the inability to steer within your lane and collaborate with the steering in the Tesla. It wants us to apply steering wheel torque occasionally, but the problem is that when I do that, it turns the system off, right?
When in FSD, you do not need to touch the steering wheel whatsoever. The internal camera makes sure you are watching the road and paying attention, and does kick you out of FSD if you are not paying sufficient attention. Good! Whilst in autopilot, you must apply a little torque on the steering wheel every 10 seconds or so to show that you are alert and in control. Never in 5.5 years of driving my Model 3 in autopilot have I accidentally yanked it out of autopilot whilst applying the slightest amount of pressure necessary for the car to know I'm there. To suggest, as this lady does, that it's an easy mistake to make, to come out of autopilot unknowingly whilst the screen flashes red, the alert noises are going off to let you know that you've come out of autopilot. What a dumb thing to criticise, yet presumably does the job of tarnishing Tesla just nicely.
CNBC went to Consumer Reports' new $1 million specialized test track in Connecticut to see why they think some automakers are doing driver assistance tech better than others.
So here we test all of the aspects of the vehicle, more than 50 different tests. What we don't do is crash test our cars. We actually try really hard to not crash our cars.
You wouldn't know it based on stunts like this.
That's Kelly Funkhauser, the Associate Director of Vehicle Technology at Consumer Reports, an independent group which tests and ranks products, including cars, and the tech on them. Advanced Driver Assistance Systems, or ADAS, refers to a set of features that automate or assist aspects of driving that drivers would otherwise have to do themselves. ADAS systems are different from true self-driving cars. Another term Consumer Reports uses is active driver assistance, which refers to a combination of specific features, lane centering, and adaptive cruise control.
Okay, well this is a luxe experience.
I know, right?
Today, we got to test one of their highest rated cars, the Mercedes EQE 350 SUV. to see why it was rated higher than the Tesla Model 3.
This will be good. Let's see how imaginative Consumer Reports has to be to pretend Mercedes has better capabilities.
If it can't see enough of the road, then it doesn't know where to center you within the lane.
ADAS and self-driving cars are becoming huge, ever more important topics in the auto industry for car makers, consumers, investors, and regulators. But these concepts can be confusing and aren't that well understood. The Society of Automotive Engineers breaks ADAS systems down like this. There are 6 levels of automation, from just the bare-bones safety features to a car that completely drives itself. Most of the systems on the market today are level 2. That means they can assist the driver, even to the point of allowing them to take hands off the wheel and feet off the pedals. But the driver needs to be attentive and ready to take over at a moment's notice. The features on these systems break down this way. There are safety features, which prevent accidents, and convenience features, which make driving a bit easier. Both of these types are becoming common, but there are many differences in how much assistance each offers, how it works, and how well it performs day in and day out.
It's Kelly and the Tesla.
The systems in Consumer Reports' list are all level 2.
Okay, this obstacle we're looking, what's it gonna do? Okay, what it did is it very confidently picked the left lane and maintained it. Some of the other systems inconsistently decide which one they're gonna go into.
What Kelly is describing is a feature on Tesla's Autopilot system that can actually keep you on course automatically, even by changing lanes or making turns if needed. Consumer Reports will test a feature like that over and over and over again to see if it ever fails. It is important to note that you might have to pay for these extra features, either by adding them as options or paying for subscriptions.
Seems an appropriate point to mention that all Teslas come with free Autopilot. You need to pay to get similar features on all these other brands.
Consumer Reports ranks the Mercedes ahead of the Model 3 because it does some things that the Tesla doesn't. First, driver collaboration. If the driver needs to take control of the wheel for a moment to steer around a pothole, for example, the Mercedes system allows you to do that.
The system is on, but I'm able to do this freely and very smoothly. And the collaboration is really, really important because as you saw in the Tesla, that system doesn't allow for the driver to collaborate or override the steering.
You're either in Autopilot or not. To collaborate with the system whilst on Autopilot, to be able to steer a bit as this lady demonstrates, is to confuse the driver. That's the dumbest, most disconcerting thing I would want for me or anyone else using it on the roads. Because if you mistakenly think that the car is in control when it is not, and you appear to be steering as if it's driving itself, that could end in disaster. In a Tesla, you're either in Autopilot or you're not. Black and white, easy peasy. Even the most basic of human drivers shouldn't be confused by it, and that's the point.
The Mercedes also executes exceptionally well. Even the things the Model 3 can do, the EQE can do better.
This is the highest performer for lane centering and as well as adaptive cruise control. This one is much smoother than the Tesla.
Third, there is a display right in front of the driver, whereas the Tesla has just the screen in the dash.
You got to put that information within the field of view of the drivers versus in the Tesla, you have to draw your eyes off of the road and look for it here rather than doing a quick glance back and forth.
Why do you think Tesla hasn't added a heads-up display? Could it be that they know autonomous cars are the future and you won't have to pay attention soon enough anyway? If a driver isn't capable of glancing quickly to any buttons or the screen, perhaps they shouldn't be in control of a 2-ton lethal weapon in the first place.
To be clear, Tesla is not that far behind rivals.
Oh, what's this clip doing here? Where was I? Isn't far behind the rivals, isn't far behind rivals. Oh yes.
In terms of the capabilities, it's among the top. Mercedes does beat it out just a little bit, but it's in the league with BMW and others. So if you are looking for a high performer, Tesla's up there.
Blimey, was that a positive? Don't worry, I'm sure it won't last long.
Tesla has 2 ADAS modes that each work in different contexts: Autopilot and what it calls full self-driving. Autopilot works on the highway, and it does things Mercedes and many other brands can also do, such as automatically change lanes, follow a route plugged into a navigation system, or pass slower traffic. But Tesla's so-called full self-driving mode can also automatically take turns on city streets and stop at traffic lights, something other systems can't do.
If you have a route or a destination programmed into the system, it'll know when you need to take your exit. It has the ability to change lanes for you and get you, to your destination.
So those are the most advanced features. Stoplights and
Being able to take turns,
navigate city streets, which is the feature they call full self-drive.
Correct, yep.
In addition, some of Mercedes' advantages, such as driver collaboration, can be found on other brands. And Tesla is not the only automaker that is missing it. GM's Super Cruise system, for example, doesn't have that collaborative aspect either. And there is at least one key piece of tech that both the Tesla and the Mercedes lack, albeit in different ways: an effective driver monitoring camera.
What now? That continuous nag that warns me to pay attention every time I glance away from the road for more than a couple of seconds whilst using Autopilot? That's the effective driver monitoring camera doing its job effectively, isn't it?
On the steering wheel column here, you can see that little bump. That's the infrared driver monitoring camera that has the ability to detect if the driver's eyes are open and if they're looking at the roadway.
Funkhauser says that driver monitoring camera is essential. Both the top-rated systems, Ford's Blue Cruise and GM Super Cruise, have it. Other manufacturers have them too.
So in the Tesla, there is a camera that is looking at the interior of the car. We actually have this piece of tape here because we can cover that and the system will still work.
Okay, so you just covered the camera with the electrical tape.
And the system is still doing exactly what it was doing before.
What? I'm going to have to go and test this, aren't I? Okay, blue tack over camera, engage autopilot, autopilot engaged. Oh, it still works. That puts me in a bit of a dilemma, doesn't it? On the one hand, I don't want to share stupid ideas of cheating the system as Consumer Reports did, but on the other hand, I can't knowingly lie. The truth really does matter, doesn't it? And in this weird scenario, I could indeed use autopilot with the camera covered. However, if I didn't touch the steering wheel within a short time, it would angrily kick me out of autopilot. You cannot be asleep at the wheel, as Consumer Reports suggest, unless it's a 10-second nap. Not worth finding out, in my opinion. It's worth noting, though, that camera-based driver attention monitoring is less strict for autopilot than it is for full self-driving. When I used FSD in the Cybertruck, 2 seconds of glancing away was enough to trigger a warning to pay attention. Otherwise, I'd be kicked out of FSD. Quite rightly so, as the clue's in the name. It's called FSD Supervised. Those that treat autopilot as if it's a fully autonomous car are as dumb as those who do this to get cruise control.
The Mercedes doesn't have a driver monitoring camera at all.
If it were to have that, it would easily be number one.
Really?
Easily,
So
yep.
if this had a driver monitoring camera in it, it would be your number one. But the fact that it doesn't puts it behind the GM system and the Ford system.
Exactly.
Both the EQE and the Model 3 use sensors in the steering wheel to determine whether someone is gripping it. That is imperfect for a few reasons.
I could also be asleep like this, right?
So, bypassing Tesla's internal camera and cheating its steering wheel nag, completely ignoring Tesla's safety protocols on screen, agreeing to use the system as intended in the first place, and not taking accountability for your tiredness whilst driving might lead to an accident. How have people stayed alive so far on our roads with practically zero safety features in their cars? Not even emergency braking in most cases. Oh, that's right, they haven't. Briefly, how many people die each year asleep at the wheel? Estimates vary, but research suggests approximately 6,000 people die each year in the US alone due to drowsy driving. But sure, keep blaming Tesla for obviously not doing enough to stop this.
Second, the system might not alert a driver to put hands on the wheel in time to avoid danger.
So not only is our camera covered, so we could be asleep or distracted, my hands aren't on the wheel. And it is... And this is why we also look for consistency, right?
There was a car right up that, yeah.
They wanted to, we were going to go head on into that car, so that would have been really bad.
I can't believe I have to point this out. You are using a level 2 driver-required system, whilst expecting it to operate like a fully autonomous car, and then laughing about the possibility of it crashing. What did you expect? How's about test the FSD capabilities instead?
In 2023, Mercedes announced it would begin offering a Level 3 system in some markets, including the US. Mercedes is marketing this as the first of its kind in the world.
Mercedes to bring Level 3 autonomous driving tech to US. That was written January the 5th, 2023 by Edmunds. Okay, let's have a look. Here are the operating conditions for Mercedes Level 3 Drive Pilot system. It can only be used on the highway. It must be following another vehicle. It has a top speed of 40 miles an hour, so it won't work if you go above that. It can't do interchanges, it can't handle inclement weather, and it can't handle any sort of flashing lights. And you can only use it in the daytime, and it can't even change lanes. What? Is this true today? And you still pay $2,500 a year for that luxury? Compare that to Tesla's FSD, which can do all of those things in North America at least, which in your view looks to be in the lead with driver assist features. The one that can do everything, or the one that's feature limited to this list? It ain't rocket surgery, folks.
This car is not equipped with that system, and Consumer Reports hasn't tested it yet.
So with all level 2 systems out there, the Tesla, the Mercedes, the driver needs to expect that the system is going to fail or stop immediately with no notice. Level 3, they're supposed to notify the driver in advance.
Most of these basic features you can find on at least some cars offered by any brand.
Most of them aren't even on the highest trim anymore. Usually on the mainstream high volume model that we're purchasing for our test program, you're able to get those 2 features.
There are a lot of differences between each system, and each has its advantages. Even higher ranked ones, such as the one made by Mercedes, may lack features a lower ranked rival has.
Everyone's doing it slightly different. Over time, we're going to see best practices, and most automakers are going to kind of design their systems according to what is working best and what their customers are giving them feedback on that they like the best.
No, that's not how it's going to go. Shall I spoil the surprise? Tesla will release unsupervised FSD this year in Texas before rolling it out to other states. Cybercabs will then be released. Unsupervised full self-driving will roll out to other countries via a simple over-the-air software update, and Consumer Reports, along with every other auto company, will be left scratching their heads, wondering how they might catch up to Tesla's lead. Licensing Tesla's software would be a good start. As too would be adding the hardware, computers and cameras to other vehicle manufacturers, but at the speed they innovate at, they are still trying to figure out how to build profitable electric cars, let alone future-proofing them for autonomy. Look, the main problem here, this whole report stinks to me. It's flawed from the get-go by not using FSD. It's like putting a Tesla up for a drag race, but deliberately setting it to chill mode. It's set up to fail, which in turn leads the consumer to think that these other companies have superior systems when they do not. The most despicable thing here is people will make choices based on watching this video. They will think that Tesla doesn't have the safety features, and lives might be lost because of it. That's why I'm so angry about this. Let me show you this quickly. This is ARC's Big Ideas 2025. After more than a decade, most automakers have dropped out of the autonomy race. Tesla and Waymo remain. In 2014, many automakers expected to debut an autonomous vehicle by 2020. Only Waymo delivered, launching its first commercial autonomous rides in 2018. Tesla plans to launch in 2025. Waymo's launch and Tesla's internal testing of robotaxi suggests that 2025 could be the standout year in which consumers and businesses agree that the future of transportation is autonomous. Who, in your view of this chart, appears to be leaders in vehicle driver assist systems? The company that is literally making cars so assistive they drive themselves out of the factory? Or the company with no expectation of launching any self-driving cars? This was not a fair comparison. Tesla FSD supervised should have been used to compare other autos offerings, but if it was, it wouldn't suit Consumer Reports' narrative that Tesla, according to them, is 8th place in this list. I'm dying to know. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think Consumer Reports are being fair? If you somehow missed Tesla's solution to autonomously cleaning their cybercabs of the future, click this video next. Or how about this video where Teslas actually leave the factory and go and park themselves 1.2 miles away? Incredible stuff. But of course, Tesla are 8th place with driver assist features. I'm Will. This is the Tesla Jigsaw. Thank you, Patreons. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.